Standing on the Dominator Bridge, Commander, Holden stared out at the ruined remnants of the Castellan battle group fleeing before him as the last enemy ship disappeared into hyperspace. He felt only a sense of cold satisfaction. The trespassers had learned their lesson. No other would dare invade territory under Earth's protection anytime soon. Yet beneath his impassive facade, Holden knew he was born for war and battle. As the most feared commander in the UE Space Force, he knew his methods, pushed the boundaries of what was strictly necessary, but to him, strength and order were the only things that kept lesser species from descending into chaos and conflict. His fleet existed to enforce Earth dominance and expand Earth's controlled. Space, once again like it was 1,000 years ago, by whatever means required, Earth had isolated itself. For long enough, it was time to retake what was theirs. Once again, Earth would no longer send spy probes to gather intelligence on alien species. Now it was time to send in the fleet those Castellans had invaded out of ignorance. Not malice, but they had been warned, and their deaths would truly send a message. Holden shook his head slightly. Softness would only invite more threats to Earth's hard-won security strength. Not mercy was the true path to peace. A beeping signaled an incoming transmission, Commander. We have intercepted new intel. Several colonies in the Viridian system close to our border have come under attack. His second. In commands, voice held a note of excitement. Sensors identify the aggressors as the Rhythons. Holden frowned. The aggressive Rhythons had long coveted those mineral-rich worlds. According to probe intel, an open conflict could endanger countless lives. But that was the way of war set course for Viridian at once, and signal the fleet. We deploy with force, send message to the Rhythons to leave if they refuse, teach them a lesson. Just like the Castellans, our goal is to liberate the colonies and include them under Earth's jurisdiction. I do not care if we provoke a war, his crew replied with crisp acknowledgments as the ship accelerated into jump space. Holden found himself hoping this confrontation could be resolved through battle. Diplomacy was for the weak, but if the Rhythons refused to withdraw, he would not hesitate to finish them, as he had the Castellans by any means necessary. He would keep Earth and his people safe, even if it meant burning the whole galaxy as Holden's fleet dropped. Out of hyperspace in the Viridian system, the scale of the Rhythons' assault became clear. The crew of the Dominator worked like a well-oiled machine under Holden's command. Energy pulsed through the ship as engineers diverted extra power to weapons. And engines navigators charted the fastest route through the combat zone while scans analyzed the disposition of enemy forces. Lieutenant Merrick greeted Holden as he stepped onto the bridge. All ships report jump complete. Commander, we are implementing. Attack Plan Gamma. Holden nodded curtly. Plan Gamma called for an alpha strike against the largest Rhythons vessels to destabilize their formation. Engage cloaking and move us into strike position. The fleet vanished as new cloaking tech blended there, signatures with the backdrop of stars. Merrick tracked their position through the engagement display, highlighting targets in glowing grids, 2 minutes to range, all squads standing by. Holden stared intently at the display, calculating angles, and trajectories. Weakness would mean defeat, and defeat would mean death for the Earth's expansion. He had to crush Rhythons with the first blow just to show them who was boss in this part of the galaxy. But long battles would be much more fun. He knew. Rhythons were no match for his fleet. Take us to within 500 clicks of the assault cruiser's full spread on my mark. The Dominator glided unseen through the melee, Rhython's ships oblivious as Earth's wrath closed in across the bridge fingers. Hovered over controls with weapons primed. Holden counted down silently. 3-2 mark cloak dropped. The fleet roared into the fray like avenging spirits, plasma lances and neutron cannons loosed in a single apocalyptic salvo. The assault cruiser buckled under multiple hits, energy barriers flickering madly before surrendering in a thermonuclear blast. 2 support frigs nearby dissolved in chains of explosions. Chaos reigned among the Rhythons as hidden threats materialized from nowhere, but Holden gave them no chance to rally second wave pound the command ship squad leaders hit designated targets, then clean up survivors at will. A hurricane of fiery death erupted as Earth's might was unleashed. The command ship took a barrage that would have vaporized a small moon, its magazines detonating in a fireball visible even through the viewports without direction. The Rhythons fractured as squadrons swarmed their flanks. Holden scowled, unsatisfied. Victory was within his grasp. Yet, a dozen enemies still stood against him. All vessels form a perimeter and advance bombardment. No quarter for any ship that does not immediately power down its weapons. Stern-faced crew members carried out his grim directive without hesitation. The remaining Rhythons found themselves surrounded on all sides by Earth's juggernauts, outgunned and outnumbered one by one. They conceded, knowing retreat or resistance meant oblivion. Only a single frigate continued firing desperately, missiles streaking towards the Dominator in a final act of suicidal defiance, intercept and destroy. Holden's voice rang cold as an executioner's bell across the bridge. Point defense unleashed hellish streams of fire that intercepted every warhead. Yet the frigate drove towards them, relentlessly ramming its dying bulk against the Dominator shields. The shields flared dazzlingly white, but held fast, deflecting the collision that would have shattered both vessels as its burning hulk tumbled away into the abyss. Holden felt only contempt for such a hopeless final gesture. Casualties would be tallied later, but his fleet had emerged unbroken from the trial of annihilation. Commander, the last colony's report. All hostiles eliminated, no signs of further resistance. Merrick reported the Viridian system is secure. Holden nodded once in acknowledgement of a mission accomplished, but inside he seethed with barely restrained fury. The audacity of these Rhythons' dogs to attack what was rightfully Earth's could not go unanswered. Set a course for the Rhythons' homeworld and send a broadcast on all frequencies. The Earth's armada is coming for retribution. Any who stand against us will face oblivion. His officers chorused their assent, hands flying across consoles. To ready the fleet for the next confrontation, Holden strode from the bridge, already planning his thrust deep into Rhython space. Their worlds would burn until the last ember of defiance was snuffed out, and from the ashes would rise a new era of unity under Earth's banner, peace through conquest. It was the only way non-humans could hope to understand. Days of frenzied preparation passed. Engineers worked ceaselessly to resupply and rearm each ship daily. Simulation drills honed combat skills. To a razor's edge all the while, sensors monitored the Rhythons' homeworld for signs they understood the doom hurtling towards them. Holden had not expected capitulation, but he hoped for signs of weakened resolve. Instead, he found only increased military activity and evacuation of civilian centers. It seemed the Rhythons' chieftain had courage, if not sense, left in them. Yet no matter, their people would learn obedience one way or another. The day of reckoning arrived. Holden stood atop the command spire of the Dominator, gazing at a billion stars somewhere out there. Vengeance waited to be wrought. All fleets initiate final approach transit from cloak to real space. On my command, he activated the ship-wide call jump in 3-2-1 now with a metaphysical wrench. 30 mighty ships materialized in low orbit of the lead Rhython's planet. Before them lay sprawling industrial zones and fortified compounds, staging grounds for the invaders who had dared strike at Earth. Borders' alarms shrieked across the terraformed surface as defending ships launched in ragged squadrons, scrambling to form battle lines, but it was too late. Holden's juggernauts descended like hammers of ruin. Neutron lances punching through orbital plates, planetary guns shattered. Under cascades of kinetic rounds, fighters and corvettes vaporized mid-turn as plasma engulfed their engines within the hour. All aerial and orbital defenses lay in fiery ruins. The Dominator swept towards a centralized command spire jutting above. A flat plane scanners showed hundreds of soldiers and vehicles massed outside its perimeter, preparing to make their last stand. Holden narrowed his eyes. Target and fire main batteries, twin lances of blinding energy, stabbed down, shearing through. ferrocrete walls, ceramical armor and flesh with equal disregard when the light faded. Nothing remained but a smoking crater exhaling ghosts of steam. The battle was over, the planet theirs to police, as they saw fit. Word of legendary Earths, fleets, reappearing after millennia spread swiftly through subspace comms, any who harbored thoughts of defying humanities. Reclamation were left in no doubt of the consequences. As for the conquered Rhythons, their remaining worlds would be dismantled and used to fuel Earth's unstoppable expansion. This was only the opening chapter in a grand resurgence that would see mankind reclaim dominion over the stars. Holden stared out from his spire, dreaming of fresh glory still to come. The future was his, to shape by force and fire.